Hey everybody, it's Leonie again from WCKI, or When Creativity Kicks In. Remind me one day to tell you the story of WCKI. Welcome back to our Gingham Blanket project. As we discussed in the last one, we needed to make chain stitches, and this is my string of 180 chain stitches. I'm sure by now you've done yours as well. I have stopped on 180, but I need to show something to you. You'll see I've got my little stitch marker here. And the reason why I do that, because I talk too much and I get a lot of interruption, I like to mark my stitch to say that was my 180th stitch, just for the purposes of this exercise, so I don't have to count over and over. That's my 180th stitch. And the reason why I've put that there is this is the amount of stitches that we require for our blanket as per the kit of wool that you would have received. It's 180. Remember, like I said in the previous video, you can make it longer, you can make it shorter, but bear in mind that we've got to work in multiples of 20. Now, 180 stitches means I'm going to have 9 color changes. So I'm going to start off with my gray, I'm going to move on to my duck egg, gray, duck egg, gray, duck egg, and I'm also going to end with my gray. Now, in order for us to start, we're going to use 2 stitches for our blocks. We're going to use a single crochet as well as double crochet. Throughout the entire project will be single crochet and double crochet. Now, let's just get everything sorted here. I've got my 180 stitches. I'm going to chain stitch just 2 more stitches here. There we go. Because I'm going to work back into my first stitch there. The reason why I did 2 stitches is to give me a little gap, because when all of this is finished, we're going to put an edging around our blanket. And I've noticed on my other ones, I got into the habit of pulling a bit too tight when I got to the end. So when it came to putting my edging on, I was fighting the wool the entire time. So hopefully this will prevent me from doing that. So now that I've added my 2 extra stitches here, I'm going to start off by putting a single crochet into the stitch where my stitch marker is. So in order to do a single crochet, you've got your wool like this. All you're going to do now is put it into the loop, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over again, and pull through. That is a single crochet. I'm just going to move the stitch marker out the way for now, but I'm going to leave it there. I'll remove it later. Now the next stitch is going to be a double crochet. Now in order to do a double crochet, you're going to put your yarn over the needle first. Then you will go into the next loop. Now also just bear in mind that your first row is going to be a wee bit difficult, seeing that we're working into these chains now. And beware that you don't twist your chain, because as you can see here, as it lies on the table, it twists. So always just make sure that you turn it the right way up and that you crochet into the correct stitch from the top down. So now we've got our double crochet. Remember, we put the yarn over needle, put it through the loop, then in the back we're going to yarn over again, grab the loop, grab the loop and bring it through. You will now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 like that, yarn over and pull through the next 2, and that is how you do a double crochet. Now we are going to repeat single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet throughout this entire row, your entire block. All your color changes, all your blocks will be single crochet, double crochet. So now that means that for my next stitch I've got to do a single crochet. Like I said, single crochet, you've got the loop, you are just going to put the needle, your hook, I do apologize, into the next chain stitch, grab the loop from behind, your yarn from behind, and bring it through. You've now got 2 stitches on the hook. Yarn over and pull through. That's a single crochet. Next one is a double crochet. It's yarn over hook, into the next chain stitch, bring through the yarn, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And there we go. That is how we're going to do our blanket. Single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. Now I need you to do this for a total of 20 stitches. Single, double, single, double. And when you get to the 18th stitch, yes, the 18th stitch, just stop. I would like to do the last 2 with you. So I'm quickly going to do my 18 stitches off camera and I will see you back now. And we are back. As you can see, I've now done my 18 stitches. Single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, and now I got up to my 18 stitches. Number 17 was a single crochet, number 18 is a double crochet. Now number 19, oops, sorry, we're going to do another single crochet, apologies, and then number 20 will be my double crochet. So we've got yarn over, go through the loop, bring it up from the behind, yarn over and pull through the first 2. But I need you to stop right there now, because this is now stitch number 20 that we're busy with. And now we need to do a color change. So let me just pull my duck egg closer, and hopefully these colors are going to work now. Like I've got this picture in my head. So let's just find the tail of this wool, and hopefully without bringing out the entire ball now. There we go. Right, let's join our duck egg. Don't you just absolutely hate it when the wool gets knotted as you're pulling it out of the wrapper? Sorry about that. I thought this was going to be an easy one, and now it's proving to be a bit of a challenge to get this wool out. So here we go. All part of the joys of crafting. Now, as you can see, I've got my last 2 loops on my crochet hook, so I haven't finished my 20th stitch yet. What I would like to do and what I'd like to show you is that how you can do a color change without creating little holes and without cutting and weaving the entire time. If there's one thing that I do not enjoy when it comes to crocheting is, or even knitting for that matter, is working away all the little bits and pieces at the end. It's time consuming. So what I'm going to show you now is how to join your second color. So all I'm going to do now, in order to finish off my 20th stitch, I am going to put my wool like that and pull it through. And there we've joined it. Yes, I'm going to have a little bit of a tail here, but I'll show you now what we do with that. As well as I am not cutting the grey off now. While you're doing this project, you carry the different yarn along with you. That adds to your gingham effect. You might see it, like reflecting or peeking through in your stitches, but it's part of the gingham effect and it does look really, really nice. So what I would like to do now, as I'm now going to continue with my duck egg, I am going to carry this tail along for the rest of the row. Now remember, we always start off with a single crochet, and can you see it's dipping slightly, it's making a bit of a curly bit there. When we're done with this row, we'll just straighten it out slightly. Don't yank it or pull it around, but just straighten out slightly, and it will start to straighten out as we build on our rows to finish our first block. So let's have a look. Now I've done my color change. Remember that you've got to work your new color yarn, work it in. And in order for you not to work away or weave away all the ends, I'm going to hold it here and I'm going to actually crochet over it right about now. So then we go into the next stitch. We're going to start off with a single crochet. Now remember, bring it through and yarn over and pull through. And there's your first stitch in the new color on your single crochet. Remember, we always start with a single crochet and we end with a double crochet. So the next one will then be our double crochet, yarn over, into the little stitch, bring it up, yarn over again, pull through, yarn over and pull through. And there we've done our 2 stitches, single crochet and double crochet. And you can see I'm carrying my yarn across. Now once again, I'm going to quickly do this. Let's do a few more and then I will go off camera and quickly finish the next block and then get back to you again. So next one, single crochet and then double crochet. Always make sure that you work into the very next chain. We're not skipping any chains here. And yarn over and pull through. And be careful that when you crochet, sometimes the yarn tends to split. And if that happens, just pull the stitch out and do it again. Because if you try and work with it, it becomes a bit fiddly. And especially if you at one stage realize that you made a mistake and you need to undo your work, if you had your wool splitting and you have to unpick it, it becomes rather difficult. The wool can snap and so on. Oops, what have I done here now? Let's just check. I'm trying to make a double crochet, but I'm talking too much. Here we go. Remember your double crochet, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through. All right. It is currently doing this in the background. Can you see there? But I'll show you when I get to the end of this colored block what we're going to do to sort that out. So for now, go ahead and do your 19 stitches now, because remember the 20th stitch, the double crochet is where we're going to change color and we're going to change back to the gray. I'll see you at the end of my block. And we're back again. Right, now you can see I've done my first 20 stitches in gray, the next 20 stitches in duck egg, but I'm on stitch number 19 because I want to do stitch 20 with you. But now, like I said earlier, because we're carrying the wool across, we've got a bit of a loopiness going on here. So what I'm going to do now, very gently, just take the color that you've carried along and just pull it slightly. You see there's a bit of give in it, and there we go. Now it looks better. This is where my little tail is from when I did the color change. And I will just tug that one in slightly as well. Let's just neaten it up a little bit here. Here we go. And I just pull that. You don't want to pull it too tight because then you will start to affect these stitches here. So just make sure that when you pull it, that you just check there. I can give my gray a little bit of a tug there. You can see that it's still a bit loopy there. But not too much, because we don't want this thing to all pucker up and get all too tight. There we go. That's better. Now it's all straightened out. On this side, I will then just take my scissors and snip that. Please do be careful when you snip. I once accidentally snipped a project. Took me straight back to the drawing board. We had to start again. And there's our first 2 blocks. Our 20 with our grey, and now my 19 with my duck eggs. And I just want to do stitch 20 with you again, so you can see that when we've got to do the color change, how easy it is. Now, we always start with a single crochet and we end with a double crochet. So let's do our double crochet, because this is now stitch number 20. We've got our yarn over needle, and we go into our next chain. Let's make sure we've got it. There we go. And pull through. We've got our 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 and stop. This is usually where I then stop and make sure that I have adjusted and pulled this. But remember, not too tight. So once you've pulled it, you can always just squiz at the back and see how much of the yarn you can see. If it's made little loops, just give it a slight bit of a tug and bring it back in line. But remember, not too much, otherwise you pull these stitches here. You pull them so tight that with your next row, you won't be able to get your crochet hook in there. So once you've tugged them and pulled them nicely, I just stretch it out slightly just to make sure it's all in line and it's all perfect. Right, this is our 20th stitch, which means that we are changing back to our grey in this exercise. Now all I'm going to do, I'm going to drop my duck egg and go over to my grey again and finish off my double crochet. So it's still my duck egg, it's still my double crochet, but now I've just got my grey yarn back on my wool. And now of course I will carry my duck egg at the bottom. And as always, we start off with a single crochet. Single crochet, and then we'll do our double crochet. And that's how we're going to work. At this moment, I must say these colors are still working nicely. I hope it's going to, when we get to the color change and I bring the white in, I hope it's still going to work for me. But for now, it still looks good. Now I would like you to continue for the rest of your chain stitch that you have. First your one color, and then you change over to your main color. Because remember, my duck egg is my main color for this project. So I'm going to have, in this color block of rows, I'm going to have grey and duck egg. And once we do a color change, I'm going to have duck egg and white. All right, bear in mind, we start off with grey. Over here, I'm also going to, I beg your pardon, end with grey. Sure, sorry about that. So yes, like I said, we start off with grey and we're going to end with grey. So when you get to your last 20 stitches, if you are not on the same color as what you've started here, please go and have a look. Then you've messed up somewhere. So remember, 20 stitches in your first color and 20 stitches in your next color. The color that you start with is the color that you're going to end off on this specific row. When you get to stitch 20, at the end of your row, just wait there and I'm going to meet you there. And there we are now at the end of our row. You can see I started off with my grey. Let's just go to the beginning here. There's my grey that I started off with. Duck egg, grey, duck egg, grey, duck egg, and so on. And we're ending with grey. Now what I do at the end here, because I've still got my color change that I'm carrying with me, we'll get to this little bit of yarn later. But for now, there's my final stitch. Even at the end of this row, or at the end of a row, I like to just take my yarn up with me, and it's a bit of a wriggle here, but then we take this yarn and I just pull that through as well. I don't like yarn bits on the end here, so I just do that with my yarn. Once I've done that, I'm going to turn my work and just do this without knocking everything off here. Turn my work. So now we're ready to start with our next row. Now remember, we're carrying the yarn with us throughout. Can you see that my yarn is peeking through slightly? That adds to your gingham effect. There's nothing you can change to pull it tighter or anything to make it disappear. That is part of the gingham effect. You are going to see it, especially if you use something with such strong contrasting colors. But you will see a bit of the yarn. But it does look good as you progress. So now we're at the end of it. We end it with a double crochet. Now remember, like we've said, you always start with a single crochet and you always end with a double crochet. If you are not working in that sequence, then you've made a mistake somewhere. Then you have to go back and go and check it. Because remember that our single crochet and our double crochets that we're going to use for this blanket, this is going to be what's the work that, or the stitch that we're working with here is called the griddle stitch. And if you don't have single crochet, double crochet, your griddle stitch is not going to work out. It's very simple, it's very easy. If you can do a single crochet and you can do a double crochet, you can do the griddle stitch. Right now, let's start again. So we're at the end of our row. I've pulled up my yarn. Now what I would like to do is with my grey, let me just untangle my wool here. I'm going to make just a chain. because like I said to you earlier, we are going to put a edging around, and if you pull it too tight here, you're going to have a problem getting the needle in to do the edge, and then you're going to start shouting at me for not telling you this. So make sure that you've got a chain there, and we're going to start off in our first stitch with a single crochet. Now remember, when we finish this row, we end it off on a double crochet. Now in that same stitch, we are now going to put in a single crochet through both the loops. See there? You can see my 2 loops there. So we're going to put through the needle and bring through the yarn. So we've got our 2 stitches and pull through, and there's our first single crochet. Now also remember to carry your color change yarn, to carry that along with you along the top edge of your work now. So there's my single crochet. Now I'm going to do a double crochet. Yarn over needle into my loops. Let's just do this so you can see. See, there's both my loops on my previous stitch, our previous row. They're both there, and I'm just going to make sure that my color change yarn is lying on top there. Come on, there we go. So I can drag this with me as we go. And there we go. We're doing our double crochet now. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. If you see this here, we just give it a slight tug to sort it out, but not too tight, because remember, we're going to put an edging on, and if you've made it too tight, you can't get in there and it becomes unpleasant. Single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. So what we are doing now, if you had a double crochet in the previous row, you are now into the double crochet, you are putting a single crochet. Like for instance now, I had a double crochet, now I'm going to do a single crochet in that row, in that stitch. The next one was a single crochet from the previous round. Can you see that? It's a short stitch. Now into this stitch I'm putting a double crochet. And so on. That's your griddle stitch. And you will start seeing the effect. As you put another row, you will start seeing the effect with your single crochet, double crochet combination that you're using here. Now you carry on in exactly the same way. And once again, I'm going to meet you up at the end of this row. And there we have it, at the end of our second row. And as you can see, it's really starting to form a nice texture here with our single crochet and our double crochets that we work. Remember I mentioned that because we started off with our gray, you can see it here with our duck egg blue, but do not fret, because when we put the border around, you will not see those gray stitches. I like it to see it like with the color like that, but obviously when we put on the edging, it's just going to give it a more finished look. And you will see that this is the one side and that's the flip side. So no matter which way you're going to throw your blanket, it's going to look neat and it's going to look all, I don't know, to me, I love the stitch. To me, it just looks professional. And can you see if I pull my stitches there, you can see my duck egg color coming through, but it adds to my gingham effect. I'm playing. So yes, that's your second row. Something else that we need to remember now is what we've got here is that we've got to measure and see exactly how long our blocks are. Now, I'm not going to tell you it has to be so many centimeters, because this is going to be dependent on your tension. And bearing in mind that this is possibly your first project ever, your tension will sort itself out as you get comfortable, as you know how to control your yarn and not maybe clenching onto your crochet hook. Your tension will improve slightly. But for this, let's just measure. If I put it like that, mine is at this stage just on 12 centimeters. So what we'll need to do is that when we crochet the blocks, we'll have to go for 12 centimeters as well. Don't know why I'm doing it upside down. But we'll have to go for 12 centimeters as well. Now currently we've got 2 rows, 2 centimeters, which says, you know, maybe it's 12 rows for 12 centimeters, but don't work on that. Because as you work across, your tension is going to start settling down. On my other projects, I also used the 20 stitches, exactly like this, but I had 15 rows to make it into a nice square. So carry on with your rows until where you can see that your square down is the same as your square across. They have to be squares. We're not making a rectangular one at this point. It has to be square. So I'm going to continue, and then I'm going to see you in the next video when we do our color change. Have fun.